Hello, I'm State Senator Josh McKoon. I'm coming to you this Friday afternoon from the Coverdell Legislative Office Building. We've just concluded our second week of the 2014 legislative session. And the purpose of this video is part of our continuing series of videos giving you an update on what's happening at your state capitol. First of all, I wanted to let you know about Senate Resolution 756, which I introduced last Friday, which would create a study committee in the Senate on the issue of medical marijuana. I feel strongly that if there are legal barriers that are preventing Georgia citizens from getting access to medicine they need, that we need to make adjustments to our law. But first, we need to separate the fact from the fiction, and I believe we can do that with a study committee where we can bring together all the stakeholders, folks from the medical community, the scientific community, law enforcement, patients, doctors, literally everyone, so that we can come up with good public policy on this subject. And I look forward to continuing that discussion next week. Monday of this week, the legislature was off for the Martin Luther King Jr. Day holiday. I enjoyed the opportunity to spend that day in Columbus, where I started my day at the Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Breakfast downtown at the Trade Center with many other elected officials. I believe there are over 1,200 people in attendance to hear both from United States Senator Saxby Chambliss and Chaplain of the United States Senate Barry Black, who brought an inspirational message to us all. I want to say a special congratulations to my friend, the Muskogee County Tax Commissioner Lula Huff, on her award, the Unity Award for 2014. It's well deserved, and I appreciate everything she does as our tax commissioner and in our community. I returned to the legislature on Tuesday for day 6. While there wasn't much action on the floor, there were 3 committees I was involved in. I went to the Education Committee to bring forward legislation that I have regarding providing inspirational messages by students at special student assemblies like graduation and athletic events. The legislation was referred to a subcommittee where I hope that there will be further discussion and further work. I chaired the first meeting of our Judiciary Committee on Tuesday as well. We heard a couple of different bills, one that has to do with anti-litem notices to city governments. That bill passed out and will now be available for action by the full Senate. And another piece of legislation that had to do with municipal court and superior court clerks, which will also be moving to the floor next week. And finally, I attended an ethics committee meeting where we passed legislation to make the office of CEO in DeKalb County nonpartisan. That bill as well will be available for action on the Senate floor next week. On Wednesday, day 7, there was very little action on the floor again, but I continued my work on what I refer to as the 24-hour rule. Under current law, we only receive an hour to consider conference committee reports before we have to vote on them. I think this is bad policy. I think it allows bad things to happen and games to be played with legislation in the final days of our session. So I'm working on a rule that would demand that we have 24 hours to read, review, and understand legislation, and give that same 24 hours to you, the public, as well as the media, so that we have openness and transparency in our legislative process. I'm pleased to say that over 30 members of the state Senate have co-sponsored the bill so far, and I'm continuing to gather co-sponsors as I hope to introduce it next week. Yesterday was day 8 of the General Assembly session, and I was able to receive a do-pass recommendation on what I believe is an important piece of legislation, Senate Bill 214, which was heard by the Higher Education Committee. Senate Bill 214 would allow lottery winners to remain anonymous in exchange for making a 25% donation of their lottery winnings to the Lottery for Education account or other charitable interests. I believe this will increase charitable giving in Georgia, maintain the solvency of the Lottery for Education account, while providing an important service to potential winners of the Georgia Lottery. And we also yesterday had our first meeting of our Columbus delegation. All of our members were present. We had a great discussion about many different issues affecting our community. We reviewed agenda items from the Muskogee County Board of Education, the Columbus Consolidated Government, and the Columbus Chamber of Commerce. And we look forward to working on all of those as the session goes forward. And today was Legislative Day 9. We passed Senate Bill 297, which clarifies the law on local filing of campaign disclosures for local elected officials and also provides an exemption for local elected officials that raise less than $2,500 to reduce paperwork and to reduce burdens on those who are willing to serve their local communities. A final note has to do with Senate Bill 141, which is still pending before the Health and Human Services Committee. If you live in District 29, the odds are you have heard radio ads or received mail in your mailbox suggesting that I am opposing this legislation because of some liberal special interest. And I wanted to address that allegation head on. I have spent the last 3.5 years at the state capitol as I believe the chief advocate of ethics reform and taking money out of our process and restoring honesty and transparency to Georgia government. I really cannot believe the temerity of the people involved in making these kinds of charges. But the truth is very simple. There is no justification for Senate Bill 141. It's plainly unconstitutional. It would wreck the medical malpractice system in this state. It would make it impossible for patients who are seeking redress when they are the victims of medical negligence to receive it. And it would also hurt doctors. It would hurt everyone in the system, and it would make health care delivery in Georgia more expensive. Sadly, there are special interests with lots of money who are looking to do everything they can to advance this legislation, to advance their own private interests. And they will literally say or do anything to try to advance this legislation. So if you have any questions about this, or you have any questions about anything I've covered today or other issues you'd like to see us cover here at the Capitol, don't hesitate to call my office at 404-463-3931. Or you can reach me online at joshmckoon.com. Again, it's a pleasure to serve you in the State Senate, and I look forward to returning on Monday for Legislative Day 10, and I'll be back next week on Week 3 for another update. Thank you.